Um, Today, the goal today is to sort of give an overview and outline things we need to know for answering consumer questions for Pesach. Focus specifically on knowing which things are or not chametz. That's the kind of not like kashrus questions and tiras kalim questions and other kinds of things that come up in Pesach. Excuse me. And it's only an overview. It's only going to be just broad ideas. I'll give you details, a certain amount of details, but it's really broad. And there are some kind of things, two types of things, particular medicines and pet foods, where I'll tell you general rules and give a rough idea of how it works, but the real truth is that for those things we tend to say, if we don't have the information already, we don't already know the answer, then we need the person to send in their information. They'll send them a copy of the ingredients, the actives or the inactives, or in a pet food, the ingredients. They send it into info@CRC Culture, and someone looks it over and then decides what it is. Right? So for medicines, we have a certain amount that we know about, but loads and loads of them that keep coming in. I want to take this and this, and the answer always is take all your information, send it to info@CRC Culture, and somebody will look at it. Everything that we know or that we think we know is in Ask CRC, or you can do the same on your phone on the app. We put as much information as we can into there. So people who answer the phone or just plain old consumers can look it up and get their answers. But then there are things that are just not there. I mean, there's only how much we know, how much we could put into there. In particular, the medicines and the pet foods are things that are very fluid and very changing. There's a million choices, and people send the information. Okay? So that's an introduction. Okay, so I'm going to talk about 4 types of things: foods, non-foods, medicines, and pets. But again, I'm just going to give you an overview, so whatever that's worth. Okay, a food which is processed a lot, so that's a general word. A lot is probably not going to be okay for Pesach. Okay, the kinds of things that are for Pesach that we're going to let for Pesach without hashgacha are going to tend to be the things that are simpler and more in their original way that they came.
There's a camera right there.
Oh, sorry.
Right, there you go. There. That's fine.
Okay, so here are some of the basic kinds of foods that we cover, that people ask about. Not really in order. Okay, beverages. Anything that's alcoholic or carbonated or pasteurized needs hashgacha. Okay, that's almost everything. Okay, and dairy. Almost all dairy items need hashgacha. Okay, except if you buy milk before Pesach, then that's considered to be okay also. Because I guess it's always better for hashgacha, but milk before. But almost everything else, dairy needs hashgacha for Pesach. Okay, fruits. Fresh fruits are fine.
Just like you said, milk.
Milk before Pesach. Fluid
milk before milk, Pesach doesn't get any special sort of thing.
Correct. The problem with the milk is that the milk itself is okay. It's that there are vitamins added into it. The vitamins are going to be bottled before Pesach. So if you buy it on Pesach, it may have been bottled on Pesach, where the vitamins will not be bottled because chametz is not sure. Even the tiny bit of chametz is also.
You were saying about fruits and vegetables.
How about the fruits? Yes. Fruits. Fresh fruits are fine. Okay.
What about cut then? Like we usually, right during the year, you can go in and you can buy a cut piece of watermelon. Mm-hmm. Can you buy a cut piece of watermelon on?
That's a good question. Before Pesach, not on Pesach. Okay. What it is the difference in before Pesach and on Pesach is that chametz, if even the tiniest bit of chametz gets into your food on Pesach, it's not bottled. If it happens before Pesach, it's a regular rules like all the rest of the year. So if there's a tiny bit somehow got into your food from before Pesach, you're good. If it happens on Pesach, then it's no good. So the rules for things that would be fresh, like if you buy, I don't know, foods that are bottled water. Okay, that's actually a good example. Let's say bottled water, some that they buy. Okay, can we mute it? If we have something that was made from before Pesach, then no problem. But something that could be made fresh, that could be right there, then you have to worry with maybe a drop of chametz in it. Okay, frozen fruit, we let it if it's not cooked and not sweetened and doesn't have any other additives to it. Okay, so it's plain old, just plain frozen fruit, then it's okay. When we say not sweetened, means if it has sugar, that's okay. But any other fancier sweeteners than that are not okay. Or if it's flavored or other sensitive additives to it also.
You can assume that like frozen blueberries are not cooked, right?
Correct. No, that's correct. They wouldn't be cooked.
What about like a sorbic acid or something like that?
So if those things are in there, I said, and nothing sensitive.
So,
but if it was done before Pesach, a frozen food, you're not getting it, something that was made on Pesach, it would be bottled before Pesach. You could use it.
So anything that would normally be allowed before Pesach during the rest of the year?
No. Well,
saying frozen fruit.
I didn't say everything. You said ascorbic acid. I can't say everything. Everything is a very broad word. Like say everything or nothing. They say, are all of this?
Would there be that?
I don't know. So, like flavors. Some have flavors. Some have flavors.
Not flavors, but just...
I don't know. So I can't say everything because what's going to happen tomorrow when the guy says, "Oh, what about this thing?" I don't know. So it's very.
On the SCRC, it doesn't say about before Pesach for frozen fruit.
What does it say?
It just says ascorbic acid and citric can be chametz kidneys, and we therefore cannot recommend anything else.
Okay, there we go. So now see, I'm wrong. Okay, so you can't use ascorbic acid from
even if it's coming from Pesach.
I mean, and I know the idea is mutter was bitter. I'm not denying that. But are we recommending that to people? When people want to know something,
so he just said it says that we do not recommend it. No.
Right.
Okay.
Because people expect that,
Okay.
But is it this you?
Well, if that's the CRC rules, then that's what the CRC rules are. What are you going to say?
I mean,
I tell my kids when my tie is on, I have to tell you what the CRC says, When I take my tie off, then I can tell you anything else, Right, that tie's on,
But we're not recommending.
We don't recommend it. So like, okay, perfect, no problem.
Frozen fruit, you can buy just plain frozen.
Just plain frozen.
Right,
Yes.
don't
Peaches tend to
Yes.
have it.
Okay, whatever it is. Yes, okay, fine. Massive, no problem. Okay, now frozen vegetables. Frozen vegetables are a little bit different. The fresh ones are okay. Some vegetables are kidneys, so just be aware of that. When we say vegetables or raw potatoes are okay, but when you get string beans, they're not okay. So some vegetables are
So I got a call I gave to asked Rabbi Fishman. Somebody has said there's cut vegetables like cut squash and sweet potato that comes from the manufacturer. Mm-hmm. Rabbi Fishman says they probably put something on it to keep it from turning brown.
Yes.
But they may not put that in any ingredients. Mm-hmm. Would that be okay to buy before Pesach or not at all?
So I should better check on the app what it says.
No, I don't think there's nothing on there. There's nothing on there.
Keep the pH of the water lower. The
pH. Yes.
Uh-huh.
And which is a masher to a masher.
Right.
Really, mutter.
I don't think it's a problem. But I don't think it's a problem.
Before Pesach. But could you buy those potatoes for that on Pesach?
In
Shabbos Sunday.
Okay.
So when something that's fresh, there's always the possibility that it was made on Pesach. I mean, if I go on Chol Hamoed to buy something, and something fresh, like just freshly cut up potatoes, it could have been done yesterday. Frozen stuff, it didn't come to the store that fast. Right. But something that's fresh, so they cut up carrots, so they could have cut up on the first day of Pesach, and I got on the third day of Pesach. Those things are fresh. Right, that's why we walk here for this. Okay, now frozen vegetables have their own quirk to them, and that is frozen vegetables are sometimes blanched. Blanched means that they put them into hot water for a minute. It just releases gases. I don't know, whatever reason why they do that. And there's this concern that maybe on the same machinery they also cook pasta. Okay, it's not such a realistic possibility, but there's a possibility. So we tell people that frozen vegetables need hashgacha for Pesach. Okay, yeah, frozen vegetables because of this blanching issue.
And let's say lachar ma'isa, then let's say someone used it on Pesach and clothes.
So a lot of the things that we tell people don't do, if they happen, then it's okay. Yeah. You could ask the question if it happens. I wasn't sure if I should release it, but I made ones. We have a shopping guide that says all things that need hashgacha or don't need hashgacha in Pesach, and then I made a separate shopping guide that says, okay, if I used it, what do I do now? Okay, and it looks very different than the original, that's a very common question before and on Pesach.
Right.
I used the wrong thing that I wasn't supposed to.
Here's my question. Because we get a lot of those questions, and we're not qualified to answer those questions. Correct. And there isn't a rabbi here to answer those.
That's why there's supposed to be rabbis on call the whole Hamoed, really, because those kind of questions.
Okay. I think most of the reality aren't always.
Most of the questions we get on Pesach are questions that we cannot answer, right?
So that's why, particularly on
Hamoed, contact information.
So the rabbis are trying to stay on call. I know I get calls on Chol Hamoed because these kind of things. Again, on Yontif, Pamaka says, "Oh, by mistake, I used the wrong tomato sauce," and whatever. Everybody does that. It happens all the time. No, they come to my house.
Oh my God! That's where you live, Rabbi.
Yeah. No, my rabbi told me to come to your house. Rabbi doesn't know the answer. Well, I actually know the answer. He doesn't have the special one that tells you.
He doesn't have your special list.
Correct. Okay. Okay. Meat and fish. So meat, fresh or frozen meat, if it's in the original packaging, we allow it. It's better if it's not hashgacha of Pesach. We tell you it's better to rinse it off. Okay, rinse it off. Ground meat needs hashgacha, or any meat that's been repacked in the store, because who knows what's going on in those stores while they're repacking it. Fish, we say it should have hashgacha of Pesach, fresh or frozen fish. But if not, then you could wash it off well.
Why is fish different?
Because of this concern that they soak it in corn syrup in order to keep moisture inside of it and to add weight both. Mm-hmm. So there's this concern. So you wash it off and hopefully you get off the corn syrup.
So washing it off is fine?
Yeah, we tell people it's better to have hashgacha, but if not, you should just wash it off. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Nuts. Okay, so here's our Mrs. Marsh can do this much better than I can. She got the whole jingle down. Okay, I'm going to read what it said. Yeah, exactly. I can't do that. So okay. So we have whole, slivered, and chopped nuts are fine, whether they're in the shell or out of the shell, and even this thing called steam pasteurized doesn't cause a problem, not a problem. And the exceptions are, we have like 5 exceptions. Blanched or roasted are no good. If it's finely ground into a powder, it's not good, like almond flour. Can't do that. If it has BHT or BHA, shelled pecan pieces are not okay. And peanuts, because peanuts are kidneys. We treat peanuts as kidneys. So those are all exceptions. But besides for that, let's say you have whole raw almonds. Okay? I didn't ask you about video. I'll tell you what the official rules are. So, the whole, oops, I lost my pen. Whole raw almonds, let's say, for example, are okay. Okay.
The beginning is a whole slice,
whole slivered or chopped, but not ground in like a powder.
Right, but, okay, so I have yet to hear a consumer tell me that the ingredients say BHA and BHT.
Nor have I.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe they
so we're wondering,
have they stopped using it?
Do they not use it, or do they not have to list it? Because they're like, how would I know? And the truth is, I go, I have no idea.
But I remember
back in the day. Don't be so worried about it.
Okay. Back in the day, it used to say it is packaged with
yes, contains BHA. Yeah, right. You said it.
What is BHA?
Okay.
Preservative.
Okay.
It's on the list.
It's on the other list.
That's for sure. Okay. Oil.
And you don't have to worry that the nuts were dry roasted.
I said not roasted. I said raw.
If it's raw, then they obviously didn't process it at all.
If they roasted, they would tell you. And it's obvious. Yeah, it would say it, and it's pretty clear that you could see that it's roasted. Okay. Oil. Lots of oils are kidneys. Lots of the oils that we use for cooking are kidneys. They need hashgacha because of kalim bushes a little. Okay. The one thing that we let, as you know, extra virgin olive oil is one thing that we let without hashgacha for year round and for Pesach. That doesn't mean extra light and all those types. There's a lot of varieties, but the ones that are extra virgin olive oil that we allow for Pesach. Okay. Now, spices is a little interesting one. We have this rule. I'm going to say it again in a minute. We have this rule that anything that's ground into like a powder is no good. Okay. We're concerned about what else goes on in the grinding equipment. So ground spices are going to not be okay because of that. And there are some spices. There are some spices that we treat as kidneys. They're not exact kidneys, but we treat them as kidneys. Anise and coriander and cumin, a whole group of them. And within that group, there's 4 or 5 of them. They all mean the same thing. Within fenugreek, there's like 5 of them. Within those, there are some with reputable hashgachas, cumin and coriander, with reputable hashgachas that we don't accept. Okay? I know that sounds strange. There's some that, it's a really common question. There's actually our stores who want to use it. They say, look, it's coming with a reputable hashgacha, and we don't accept it. And the reason we don't accept it is because those things, had they cleaned them well, we would accept them. We would accept it. And Rabbi Schwartz, goes back to Rabbi Schwartz, said, so find out how they clean it. And when we asked them, how do you clean it to make sure there's nothing else mixed in? Because there really is other stuff mixed in. I saw it myself. You pick up a bag of the actual seed and there's other stuff mixed into it. And they said, no, we're not telling you. Trust us. So Rabbi Schwartz said, when they say trust me, then you don't trust us. Yeah, that's what we tell people.
So this is which spices?
Cumin and coriander are in spices, spiced by themselves or in spice blends that they come with reputable hashgacha.
It
says, I'm talking about this as Kashrus. It says Kashrus Pesach. Yes, it says Kashrus Pesach.
It doesn't say, like, okay, it's not a sardic
No. When we turn the recording off, I'll tell you what Hashgacha. Okay.
Okay. So this is just the Pesach.
I'm talking about the Pesach. Yeah. This is the Pesach day. I'm talking about Pesach. Okay. It's not. No. Okay. Well, okay. If you want some background, the din is spices are not kidneys. Like inherently they're not kidneys. But the Magen Avraham says there's a chashash. The Ramah says anis is not kidneys. The Ramah says it himself that anis is not kidneys. But the Magen Avraham says, but it's often blended, mixed with other grains, which is true. I'm telling you, I went to a spice place years ago, and he says, "You want to see it?" He stuck his hand and brought out 1,000 pieces of whatever the grain was, and there were other sticks mixed into it. That's where they grow. So the Magen Avraham says it's a shayla taz Magen Avraham. If you clean it, is it going to be good enough? And we say, yeah, if you clean it well and get rid of all the other stuff, then it's good enough. So this Hashgacha says we do. And Rabbi Shmuel says, prove, tell us, No. Okay. Now, anything that contains flavor or vinegar or flour is not going to be good for Pesach. So a zillion things have flavors in them. Vinegar is like in ketchups and pickles and condiments, all kinds of things like that. All those things need Hashgacha for Pesach. Things that have flour, like licorice or soy sauce, or matzah, that's not made for Pesach. All those things are, well, they're not good. Like those last few are not good for Pesach at all. But anything else, like that has ketchup, vinegar, or flavors, needs Hashgacha for Pesach. Okay, within the grains themselves, so I'm going to break into three groups. Barley is not chametz. Don't use it on Pesach. If you put it with water, then it will be chametz. But the barley itself is not chametz. It never touches water. So that's, you can keep it in your house. There's nothing chametzik about it until you do anything with it. And of course, rice, I should mention. Rice is kidneys. You're allowed to own kidneys on Pesach. You can't eat it, but you can keep it. So those are like one group that you can keep them, but you wouldn't eat them.
And raw barley corns.
Barley
kernels.
Yes, yeah, good. Yeah. Pearl barley, they call it pearl barley. That's fine. That's not chametz. Then there is oats and regular flour. Those are both safek chametz. Okay, those having to do with the way they're processed, they're safek chametz. So obviously you're not going to eat them on Pesach. You have no way to eat them anyhow without putting them into water. But you can't eat them on Pesach. But as far as keeping them on Pesach, so they're safek chametz, and either you get rid of it, or you sell it, or whatever you want to do with it. Or ask your rabbi, we should do it. Oat bran as an item by itself, like not oat bran cereal. I don't know. I don't know what.
Oatmeal.
It's a suffix. It has to do with the way it's processed. It's heat treated to keep it from spoiling, and that heat treating is like chalita. The din is, according to the din of the Gemara, if you take a grain and you put it into boiling water, if you do it the right way, it will never become chametz, and you can eat it. You can actually eat it on Pesach. You can mix it with, do whatever you want, it will never eat. So that's what they do to it. They put it into hot steam or hot water to prevent it from spoiling. But the din, already in the Shulchan Aruch is that we are not bekinim chalita. We don't know how to do chalita properly. Mm-hmm. So we can't say for sure that the chalita happened that doesn't come chametz. It might have actually become chametz in that process. Mm-hmm. So it's a supplement of its chametz. Okay. In addition, anything that is pasteurized or ground into a powder or canned is also needs hashgacha for Pesach. So pasteurized like fruit juice needs hashgacha for Pesach, or ground like nuts or ground meat or fish or spices, and things canned like canned fruit. So I told you before, fruit is okay. Fresh fruit or frozen fruit, if it's just the fruit, it's okay. But not anything canned is already. That's a kalim issue. Ground, we're worried about what else is ground in the same kalim, and pasteurized also a kalim issue. Okay, while I'm talking about that, I'll mention iodized salt is we don't allow, but salt without iodine is fine. It's usually called table salt. You don't need a special hashgacha for that, just regular salt without iodine. The iodine is applied together with starch. The iodine itself is not chametz, but it's applied with the starch, and the starch might be chametz. Okay, I'll throw just one more ingredient.
So is it possible if I would see iodine with hashgacha for Pesach? That's like an obviously
nobody goes to the bother to make iodine that's kosher for Pesach, and therefore you don't see iodine salt for Pesach. If tomorrow somebody would start to, it could happen. In fact, inherently it can't be Pesach. It could be, but it's such a pashka to make it. Just okay, don't use iodine salt for a week. Big deal. Like, it's not such a big deal.
It's fine.
You buy it for 79 cents in Target. Just table salt, just regular, just not the iodine. One without iodine.
Industrial salt typically
doesn't have iodine. Okay. Will not have iodine. No, typically not. It's a government requirement that certain foods be fortified. So one of the foods is salt, has iodine. Different foods have different fortifications. That's for a home thing. It's not a consumer. Okay? Okay, one more thing I forgot. I don't know where it fit in here, but malt is also chametz. Okay? It's as an ingredient like in cereals, all kinds of things. Malt is made from barley, and it's chametz. Okay. So I'm finished with food. I have 3 more groups: non-foods and medicines and pets. Okay. Many things that are non-foods, like things that we don't eat at all, are perfectly fine without any hashgacha. I have 4 groups here. One is paper, plastic, and foil. All those things are okay, no matter what. And you can use it for hot also. And then the next group, soap, shampoo, polish, deodorants, ink, and paint. Again, also, are all fine. All these things are not edible, and therefore they're okay to use. Next group, creams and lotions are also fine. And then in makeup things, eyeshadow and eyeliner, nail polish, and there's a whole bunch more on our list, are all okay. These are all things that are not edible, and they're okay to use no matter what.
What's the problem with parchment paper?
I actually forgot to write down parchment. I should have written it down.
But I was going to ask you, because it doesn't tell you on the packaging. How do you know which it's made out of?
What do you mean, which?
Well, there's silicone and there's quilon. How do you know what it's made from? And also, even during the year, how do you know what it's made from?
No idea. I don't know how you know the difference. The answer to your question is that parchment paper has a coating on top of it. It's paper, but there's a coating on top of it. That grease that's on top of it goes right into your food. And it's potentially kidneys, It's hard to imagine it could be chametz, but it's probably kidneys, So I don't know how you know the difference between them. I just have to answer the phone. You tell me which one it is, and I don't know.
And cupcake liners would be the same thing.
Just paper. That's just paper.
They also have like a...
No, it
No,
might
not
be
paper.
paper. It might be like
Not wax paper, and it has a similar thing with parchment paper.
Okay, you'll have to show me. The cupcake holders in my house are just plain paper. That's all they are. But you show me.
Maybe because it's so thin and the way it's rolled through it, it feels very smooth on the inside.
Or you're getting fancier ones. I think that they do make fancier ones that look like parchment.
Okay, you show it them.
I have a question about hand sanitizer. I know the gel one for sure fine, but there's a lot of liquid hand sanitizers.
So we actually went to a church with the gelish kind, and he said no problem. He didn't want to look at it. He said, so that's going to fit into the. I'm going to get to it in 1 second.
Okay.
I didn't think about hand sanitizer. Actually, a big thing these years.
Because now everybody has hand sanitizers.
Yes.
But you
But
have
you have the spray one.
Yeah, I have a spray
all
one.
the same. Okay, so some of the exceptions. I just showed you all these non-food items that are no problem. You could use no matter what.
Okay, fine.
Some of the exceptions are. So first is going to be the 2 groups I'm about to talk to you in a minute: pets, foods, and medicines. Those are not really foods, but there are going to be special rules for those. That'll come in a second. Okay. Then we have things for Pesach, things that go into your mouth, like mouthwash, toothpaste, and lipstick. Those we say they need hashgacha for Pesach. Year round, we tell people they can use whatever they want to. For Pesach, we tell them they need to have hashgacha. We're extra careful it's going into your mouth. For lipstick, we have the lipstick checker. Okay, so we look at, I don't know, 50, 75, I don't know however many lipsticks we get a hold of. We look at their ingredients and we have actual recommendations to them. Is it good or not good? And for the ones that are not on that list, you could check it up yourself with this fancy lipstick checker. You type in the ingredients and it pops up and tells you whether you could use it or not. That works well. It actually works.
Okay, so let's say consumers are saying, the kosher stuff is not on the shelves, I can't see it, or it's $1 billion, can't I just use Colgate because it's Starkey-less or something, or Scope?
So we can only tell them what we think, right? We just tell them that we think that it's okay or it's not okay. We tell the regular toothpaste them needs hashgacha for Pesach. Other people think differently about that, So again, year round we tell people they can use whatever toothpaste they want to. For Pesach, we think that they should only use particular ones. So, but what about the Starkey says? You can call it Starkey. Well, I don't want to ask your rabbi. It's really not. We tell you what we think. If you're not sure, should I follow the CRC or the Starkey? So call your rabbi. Tell your rabbi what we should do. It's not my.
But we can't tell them, go look at the Starkey list and see.
No, we're not us.
This is not us.
They don't tell you to look at the CRC list, so because they have to represent themselves. This is what we think.
No, they just tell them to call us.
Them all the time. Oh, you told me to call you.
Okay, 2 other things: lip balm and dental floss. Those are also go in your mouth, sort of. Those we tell you to use, you should use if it has no flavor in it. If it's just plain and not flavor.
Lip balm is different than lipstick. It's a different category.
No, if it's just plain, it means if it's not flavored, then it's fine. Lipstick has all kinds of stuff in it. There's a whole bunch of lipsticks. We go figure that have chametz in them. It's not lip balm. Some have wheat or barley in them for whatever strange reason. I don't know.
What did you say? You said lip balm and what?
Dental floss.
Plain lip balm, you're saying is
without flavor is fine.
What is that?
What is it? It's a wax. It's just a wax. It's not edible items at all. Complete wax. That's what it is. You got it? Okay. Okay. Now then, one other exception is.
So that's
unflavored, I think.
Carmex is medicated.
I don't see any ingredients. Okay, so you have to show me the ingredients. But it's probably just
it's not
wax.
Like cherry lip smack, right?
No, but
it's
smell it.
Yeah, it's wax. Okay, it's fine. Yes, it's fine. You can use it. Okay. Okay. Then there's one other thing which is non-foods, which is liquids that have alcohol in them. Okay. Now, alcohol is unusual. There's this unusual thing, which is what we call beverage alcohol. Alcohol that you drink. The government charges a tremendous tax on it, like 100% tax on it, literally. So if you want to use alcohol that's not going to be for drinking, you don't want to pay that tax, you do something called denaturing it, which is you put something that makes it taste awful or poisonous so no one will drink it. Okay? And then the government has all kinds of rules how you do that, and you make it denatured, and then you don't pay this big tax. And then you can make shampoo or shoe polish or whatever it is. So the CRC rules is that if you have something that's in a liquid with alcohol, with denatured alcohol in it, then it's okay these liquids are okay if either there's no alcohol in them, or it's made in the United States. Because in the United States, the alcohol is invariably not chametz, and it's denatured also. Between those two together, we allow it. So, for example, spray deodorants and colognes and perfume and baby wipes.
A lot of deodorants are made in Canada.
Okay.
See them? They all say Canada.
That's okay also. That's okay also.
Canada's okay?
So let's say
U.S. or Canada.
Okay.
Spray deodorant, go ahead. What you just started using the sentence with the words spray deodorant.
Spray deodorant, cologne, perfume, baby wipes, hand sanitizer, same thing.
I don't understand. If it says made in Canada, could be the ingredient that they use to make it comes from Europe.
Yes, it's true.
They use a lot of French
It's
stuff?
not. It's alcohol is like all over the place, and to think that someone brought in alcohol from Europe to Canada to make it into your thing is not a realistic possibility. On top of the fact that it's denatured, it is denatured also. There are many hold that denatured alcohol is completely mutter. It's not edible. It may on purpose be not edible.
So why
See
can't
that?
I hold that?
I'll send you the recording. It's a separate question whether it's mutter or not. That's a separate question. But the originally position was that it's also because it be machmir for those who think it's denatured. But since it's denatured, that's one reason to be mikvah. And it's probably not chametz in the first one. Anyhow, between them, we allow it. Okay. Our next group, medicine type things, over-the-counter things. So one thing that helps the bulk of people is that we allow all things that are in pill form. Okay, so that's one. That for most, meaning adult things that adults take, tend to be in pill form, in tablet form, and those are all okay. But the liquids and the chewables depends on what the ingredients are. Okay, this tends to be more a kid's thing, not necessarily. It could be like cough medicines and liquids and chewables depend on the ingredients. So here's a few rules. Okay, the first is we don't recommend anything that we don't recommend for year round. So when someone sends in something and says, "Can I use this for Pesach?" and we say, "You can't use it all year." So Pesach is part of the year, so you can't use it on Pesach either. Okay, that's the first thing. Okay, it's rare that these medicines will have actual chametz in them. So like one exception is benefiber. Benefiber is made of wheat starch. That's it. It's 100% wheat starch. So that's an exception. But mostly things that will not have actual, clearly obvious chametz in them. Okay? So what is it like the one we know, the one that we've looked into, which we have quite a list of them, are on Ask Sergi, or in our Pesach card. But most of the ones that are not clearly okay, like let's say Miralax, is completely fine. And benefiber is completely no good, because it's chametz. Many of the items that we have that we find, that people ask that are on the list, are in a category we call safek chametz. Okay, what does that mean? What does it mean we call possible chametz? What does that whole group mean of things that are safek chametz? And it means like this. It has an ingredient in it, like sorbitol, citric acid, or xanthan gum, or polysorbate flavor. One of these type of ingredients, which is probably kidneys, but it could be chametz also. Okay, I mentioned sorbitol. Sorbitol could be made from sugar or glucose, which could come from any starch. So it can come from wheat, or it can come from corn, or from rice, or potatoes, any kind of starch. So likely is that it's kidneys, but it could be that it's chametz also. Okay? For example, in sorbitol, there's a handful of manufacturers. There's a zillion people who distribute. There's a handful of manufacturers. One of them is chametz. All the rest of them are not chametz. Okay, so if this sorbitol came from that manufacturer, and like I said, it does travel across the world. Okay, if it came from there, then it's chametz thing. Okay, so, but chances are that it's not chametz. Chances are that it's just kidneys. Okay, so the Ikar Hadin may be, the bottom line, letter of law might be that it's okay to take it, but by no means do most people want to, or should they be taking things that might be chametz. Okay?
These things are never in achila, really.
Why do you say they're not royal achila?
Some of them are too liquid.
Liquids are too, or powders.
Yeah. Might have
It doesn't matter. No one eats it because they want to eat it.
So okay, we can talk about that question. So it's possible, you may be, I'm not saying you're wrong about that.
If you dilute it in something else, would it be more batul?
But you can't do it on Pesach. Bittul is not going to work on Pesach. Okay. So for these kind of things, when we say it's possibly chametz, what we want is like this. We want the person to turn to a rabbi and say, this is the reason why I'm taking this item, and under that condition, should I be doing this? If I want my hair to be a little more shiny, that rabbi's going to say, no, you shouldn't take that. Okay? You say because I have this horrible infection and this is how sick I am, he's going to say, well, under the circumstances, you should take it. Okay? But that's a rabbinic judgment on your condition. Say, I'm taking it, or my child is taking it because of this reason, and they told me it's suffix if it's chametz. The rabbi called me and said, that means is it's probably not chametz, it's probably kidneys, but it's a suffix, it's up in the air whether it is or not. So now it's a judgment now is for your condition, should you take it or should you not take it? So we're not taking that responsibility. I should take that back. Sometimes when we look at the medicine, we say that, we know what that's for. You only take it for that if we say yes, it's recommended. Because we know whoever's going to take it is for that. But most of these things are in between. You could be really horribly sick or not so bad, So that's a judgment we want, and we don't want to make that judgment for you. That's a rabbinic call, Here's a possibility. It might be chametz, and then let the rabbi make the call.
Well, I'm just curious, why is sorbitol, for example, any different than alcohol? You said before alcohol is...
We let it because it's also because it's denatured. So again, here, it's probably not chametz. I told you, it's probably not chametz. So there, since it's probably not chametz, and it's denatured, so that's what we say. It's perfect. You could use it. No problem. You could use it. But for ones that are...
Wait, is it the same type of sourcing?
Same channel. Yeah, it's the same. Now, it's a little different. It's a little different because something like sorbitol moves around the world as opposed to alcohol, almost for sure you can get it locally. But it's the same kind of a question, which is the chances are that it's not chametz. The roiv is not chametz. But do you want to eat that? But you don't want to eat that on Pesach. Just because it's roiv, not chametz, you don't want to eat that on Pesach. But under the right circumstances, then not only can you should eat it. If you're sick enough, the person needs it, then they should take it. Okay.
You said do not discontinue any medicine for installation.
Of course, our letter says, yes, correct. Our letter says don't stop taking medicine unless you talk to a rabbi or a doctor. Yeah, for sure, you should. Because some of the people who make lists of lots of medicines, like even of pills, say that the reason why they do that is because people won't take their medicine unless they see the name on the paper that says you could take this on Pesach.
Yeah, they're taking heart medicine.
Right,
they're calling us about it.
But
unfortunately, about your heart medicine.
Then you have to quote Rabbi Goldstein. It depends on how much you love that loved one.
How much you love that loved one.
Okay.
Advise them to take
Okay. Our last group is about pets. Our last group is pets. Okay, and pets is pets are allowed to eat chametz. The pets themselves are allowed to eat chametz. They're not Jewish. But
give it to them.
But you can't own chametz, and you can't have any benefit from chametz, so you can't feed your pets chametz. Now, before I tell you some details about that, there's another thing that also, which is basar b'chalav. Okay, if milk and meat are cooked together, you also can't give that to your pets. You're allowed to own it, but you're not allowed to give that to your pets. So when we look at pet foods, we look at that also, and really, people who own pets need to look at that year round and think about whether they happen in there. So there's some quick rules about that before I go back to the Pesach part of it. It's only usher if it's milk and meat cooked together. If they're just blended together, it's not a problem. If it's meat from a non-kosher species, it's not a problem. Like pig, that's not a problem. If it's from poultry, like chicken, it's not a problem. If the dairy is just lactose, it's also not a problem. Lactose doesn't create. If lactose is milk, but it doesn't make basar b'chalav. But if it is, it happens enough that there's actually meat. It's only milk is up on it. It's mei chalav.
Whey would be the same thing.
No, whey is milk would make basar b'chalav, but lactose would not. But that's for the basar b'chalav part of it. And when we look at a Pesach, when we do look, we're paying attention, say, maybe you shouldn't be using this all year round also. Okay, but Pesach, as chametz is more obvious, more clear to people, and it's easier to pick out. So some of the things to look for when you're looking at a pet food. Obviously, the 5 grains: wheat, barley, rye, oats, or spelt. If that's one of the 5 grains, then you're finished. You can't use it in Pesach. Then some other things: brewer's yeast, malt, pasta, zamfrancum. Those are things that could be in the pet food.
What was the first one?
Brewer's yeast.
Brewer's yeast.
Brewer's yeast is left over from brewing beer. Okay, as a regular yeast is fine, but brewer's yeast is not. And then,
by the way, you don't have mold on seriously.
Really?
Yeah.
So interesting. Okay. Okay, no problem. I'll try to remember to put it on.
It comes of pet food vinegar.
Okay. Then also flour, other words, things you might see that mean chametz are flour, gluten, middlings, or starch. Middlings is a part of the making flour. One of the sections that comes over is called middlings. Like I think it's MID, like middle, MIDLINGS.
I think this is all written in the guide, right?
It's all in the guide. Yes, it is. It's in there. So those are things that...
Don't get all the words he said. It's
all things to look out for. And then the things that we don't worry about. Okay, I'm going to give you a bunch of things that we don't care about. Okay, and vitamins, minerals, amino acids, those are all bottled. Those are in tiny bits. They're probably not chametz anyhow, and they're bottled. If there's meat and fish in there, it's fine. Vegetables and kidneys are fine. You're allowed to own kidneys. You're allowed to give kidneys to your pets. You're allowed to find out from them. So like corn and buckwheat and rice and things like that are okay. And then some other things are barley grass. That's not chametz, even though it says barley grass. It's just the grass. Barley grass, carrageenan, and gums, other than cinnamon gum, and dairy or oils. Okay, so those are all things that are fine. And as Mrs. Friedman said, if you look in the guide, it has an even longer list than this, in the pet pages or whatever it is. Rabbi Lander tends to deal with most of these things. They head to him. Just he's familiar with it because of our hashgacha that we infamously give, but on our tray food. That's best. Okay, any more questions before I go through? Okay? Seder, thank you.